I bought this car 6 months ago, and I knew full well it would feel slow coming off of the 765 LT. After that car, 500 horsepower feels like a commuter car. I knew that, and a couple other things from previously owning one would be the make or break on if I really like this car or not. So I'm gonna go over everything I've done to fix the problems with it and how I've turned an ordinary Vantage into almost the perfect daily driving supercar. My intention with this has always been to mod it, and I actually had a budget to do that. And well, 500 horsepower is not slow. Coming from a 765, like I said, it feels slow, so one of the top priorities for me was fixing that. It already sounded amazing, but I just figured I had such a good experience with Brook Race Exhaust that I would go with them again. So what we did is some downpipes, the rest is stock exhaust and a tune. We added about 100 horsepower and about 100 torque, and it gave me the sound that I was looking for, the really, really loud, just and the pops and the bangs when I want it. So the cool thing he did was he made it to where in sport mode, sounds 100% like it did stock. Sport Plus and race mode, it got way, way louder. And to me, that is the perfect combination. So the only downside to when you do exhaust and tunes like that is you're really worried that on the freeways, when you're driving it, which is the purpose of this, is for me to put some miles on it, do some rallies, that kind of stuff. If you've done exhaust, the worry is always, is it gonna sound droney on the freeway? And this absolutely does not drone. It quiets right down. It's an 8-speed, so it gets the RPMs down, gives your gas mileage up. And overall, it's the perfect combination to give me that excitement and that fun that I want when I want it. It has 600 horsepower now, somewhere around 600 horsepower now, so it's got enough pep that I am not missing all the power that I dropped off from the 765, which was, I knew, the #1 concern for me. So overall, that was my biggest concern with this car, was just what I was coming from and what I'm getting in. It was just gonna feel less than, and that is a way you fall out of love with a car really quick, is when you're constantly wanting more. So the first thing I did was exhaust and tune, like I said, first mods, got it ordered, he built it, installed it, tuned it, and now I'm really getting used to the way it feels and the throttle responses and that kind of stuff. So overall, I think that it made the car so much better. The new generation already has a ton of power upgrades with it, so it's kind of just putting it more along the lines of that one, and it fixed the biggest problem that I had with it. So one of the biggest problems I had with this car was just how ordinary it looked. And I know the silver that this came in is one of the most classic Aston Martin colors, and it's in all the James Bond movies. It's the color of his car, and it is a perfect car for later when I want to sell it. I can pull the wrap off and I can have it be the classic color that everyone wants and kind of expects from an Aston Martin. But for me, I always kind of like to go a little bit crazier. I mean, look at it. It is such a cool, I know it's not for everybody, but for me, it is such a cool thing that it changes the color. I really like Aston in green, so I went with the pure PPF Unicorn's Blood because it had a lot heavier influence of green and purple, which I think are both really cool. Always on my other ones, it was more of a blue to purple with a little gold in it. So it's a different but the same. Kind of reminds me of the, I had the R8, I had the Jag, and it was called Deep Space from 3M. And so this one, it is different. It is a self-healing PPF, which I've never had a colored PPF. It adds a lot more depth into it. And overall, I think it makes way more sense for me and what I like, the flashiness. And then, like I said, the base silver underlying is a really smart way to kind of combine the two, because not everyone likes it to be this crazy. And I understand that. It's really cool though. I think it makes it stand out. I don't think it's affected the overall style of the car. It still has the clean lines. You could still see, you know, all the unique design cues. I actually think it maybe has made a few more, like the hips there stand out where it goes from the green to the purple. It's also made that body line right there in the center of the door stand out a bit more. There are a few pieces I've never done before, like the glass here. I tinted it with this green color change glass. There are moments when you get the green on the car and the glass at the same time, it really flows well together. But overall, this is the more controversial thing I've done with it because it's what I like. And ultimately, it's my car, so I get to do what I like. I fully understand if it's not your style and you don't like it, you can have your opinion, I'll have mine. Hopefully you still enjoy what I talk about and show with it, but you could just say you don't like the color. I'm in love with it right now. So that was one of the big ones for me. It made it flashy, it made it stand out, it made it look special, whereas sometimes Astons can blend into a crowd of a bunch of supercars. I feel like now there's no way this car blends in with the other stuff. It's gonna stand out and just get the attention it deserves. A few things to still get coming. I'm getting some Forge Light wheels made right now. They're on the final stage of putting the color I chose on them. They're taking a little longer than I expected. I really hope they're worth it. I kept 20s on it. I like that meaty sidewall on it. I did make them a little bit wider so that they will come out a little bit more, and just overall, I think, finish the outside part of the car off. I did have a couple other things I wanted to do. Some carbon fiber parts on the car like this, I think would be a nice finishing touch. They are a little pricey, but I think they're well worth it. Also the seats, like I've said, the seats and the comfort of this are one of the main reasons I've chose this car. But recently I've had ability and opportunity to sit in the newer generation Vantage and the Valhalla, and they have these really cool carbon bucket seats. Think of Senna seats for McLaren, but a little bit different. And I want to see if I can get a hold of a set of those and possibly put it in this, just sport it up a bit. They were super comfortable. It actually gave me another couple inches of headroom, and just overall, I really liked them. They still have some adjustability to them with the power seats and that kind of stuff. So I really kind of want to look for that. I also am going to look at getting a carbon-tastic steering wheel like my DBX has. I really just enjoy that. Again, it adds that nice little touch of sportiness. I'm looking to maybe add just a little couple pieces here or there on the interior to make it more of a two-tone versus all this blue. I really like this blue, but I kind of want to add just another little color to the inside. But overall, the car is turning out to be really great, and just those few little tiny things left. I did put the Apple CarPlay Android Auto in it, so now I can actually see my phone. It does have a few problems. Any aftermarket module like that is going to have problems. This one was not a KKS Supercar one. This is one from my original Vantage before the 765 LT. I bought it, and by the time it showed up, I'd already traded the car. So I kept it. I had it installed. I kind of wish I would have went with a nicer one. I think Aston Martin dealerships offer one as well, so it's probably a little better. So eventually I'll probably switch over to that one, depending on if I keep the car long-term or not. But we'll fix the tiny little few things that are left that bother me. And that's mostly just the inside is all one color. It has the black headliner, but other than that, and it's got the black carpets, the black headliner, but other than that, it's all this blue. And I'm getting nitpicky now, like the drivability, since I've upgraded the exhaust and added the more horsepower, I made it a little flashier with the wrap, getting the wheels done, like all the little annoyances I had are getting fixed. And as soon as I get the two-tone interior somehow, hopefully taken care of, what it's gonna do is just make the final touches to where it feels as amazing as I think it looks. People buy cars like this for the track, and they talk about the horsepower and Nuremberg lap times and all kinds of crazy stuff. And the reality is, most of us that own these types of cars never actually do that kind of driving. So what is so good about the Vantage and where it shines is on the types of roads and the type of driving you actually do in the car. And it's not the only thing it's good at. It has a 50-50 weight balance. So I bet you, especially with the horsepower upgrades and the exhaust and all of that, this is probably really, really good on the track. Also, I will soon be able to find that out, but until then, it's all theoretical. But where this car really shines is in just the daily drivability. Having the rear storage makes it more than adequate to put enough bags for the 2 passengers to go on some sort of a trip. Longer drives are no problem whatsoever with the comfortability of the cabin room and the seats. And yes, I do want to change the seats eventually, but that doesn't mean that these are bad. It's just the little tweaks and upgrades that you kind of want to do. But the different drive modes that you control on the steering wheel with the Sport, Sport Plus, and then Track, each one stiffens it up. A lot of cars do that. That's nothing groundbreaking for this. The McLarens do it, all that. But really what it is, the long drives where you don't want just to be rattled and jarred, the sport settings, the softest settings on here, are really, really nice and comfortable for freeway cruising. If you start to get a little too much of the bounce because the road isn't as smooth as you would like it, you can kick it up one, it gets a little stiffer and you don't get quite as much bounce. And then with the throttle response and just the way it holds gears and shifts, you can adjust that kind of stuff with the other button. Same setting, Sport, Sport Plus, and Track. It turns the exhaust valves open and lets you hear the exhaust more, and especially now, a little more pop and bang with the new tune and downpipes. So overall, this car is the perfect driver's car. It looks like you would expect it to look for a supercar, especially with the really good design that Aston Martin has with this one. I feel like they took a lot from the DB10 and then kind of made it its own. If you know anything about the DB10, it is one of the more infamous Aston Martins because it was in a James Bond movie, but it never actually got produced other than a super small number. Like, it wasn't mass produced like all the other DBs. Because of the design and the fact it was in a James Bond movie, it makes it one of the more iconic cars, especially since we didn't get it. And pair that with the fact that they kind of copied that style a bit with this, makes it one of the best looking Astons in my opinion. The new version, they made it a little wider, put a couple vents. I tend to like that because, well, I like the wide body look and that kind of stuff, but other people don't. But overall, this car is amazing, and it does so many things that the other cars in its class can't do, and that is what makes it so special and different compared to McLarens and Lamborghinis and that type of stuff. Normally for me, with cars like this, a couple months in, and I am done with them. And the newness is worn off, and I'm kind of looking and starting to find the next one. And is that happening with this car for me? Surprisingly, no. I had an exit plan for this. It was going to be about a year, and then I was going to move on to something else. I even named it the One and Done series. But what actually has happened for me is I fixed everything that bothered me about the car. So the things that normally on cars like this that I get annoyed with and start moving on from, I'm actively, purposefully fixing and changing to stay enjoying the car, and to the point that now I'm thinking of keeping it longer term and really throwing some miles on it, and then maybe making this one, the DBX, the one I trade in and trade up for and eventually get to the Valhalla. So surprisingly, the cheaper, older Vantage has really captured my attention and my excitement to keep long term. I still love driving this car, and for me that's saying a lot. I've been through a lot of different cars, and for me to be able to say that I still enjoy driving it is a big deal. I am going to do a review coming up on the DBX and the 1-year review of the Denali 3500 is just around the corner. I figured that one would be more of a 1-year review because that would give me a chance to do everything I could possibly use it for and really get to know it and its positives and negatives. So stay tuned for that. And on this one, I want to know, what do you think about the mods I've done? Is there any other mods I should do? Let me know what your thoughts are on the wrap and if you would have done something else. And overall, just your thoughts on the car in general. Like I said, I'm really enjoying it and I kind of want to know what everyone else is thinking.